Because well, I'm trying to still process, why it is that a straight white woman, American, would go onto her Facebook page and start questioning why people are gay in 2019. And then, as an afterthought, say, oh, yes, and what about the pedophiles? So it's like, your orientation is a minority, and then you get lumped in with pedophiles. It's 2019, and this is what people are putting out there. You can't understand what you just did. You have recriminalized being gay. That's what you just did, you stupid person. And then I commented on it, and then she immediately turns around and attacks me. Oh, you take things too seriously. Well, she was unfriended. I had no relationship with this woman, but I mean, I never saw her feed for a long time, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, this is what comes up on my feed, you know. And I did think, well, is there anything else I can say? And the answer is no. There is nothing else I can say when you have got someone who is so completely insensitive, so unbelievably insensitive that you can't look to see what you wrote. And then you're saying, well, she says to me, well, you're taking things too seriously. She reminds me of the weird housewives of various cities, the alcoholic women that, they don't work. All they do is they go to drunken parties. And that's what I get from her. And I don't know who she thinks she's got on her. She's got a lot of people that belong to these different groups. Their Facebook groups. They're all about 5D and high energy and change the vibe and let's advance humanity. These are the kind of people that she wants to associate with, and then she puts out this crap. Well, these groups are full of trolls. They really are. And I always debate, well, why the hell am I even on the Facebook? Very rarely do people see what I post. My biggest post in these groups ever was about the killing of the whales by the Japanese and Norwegians. That got like over 1,000 people reacting. But otherwise, my day-to-day things don't get very much attention. And so is social media really useful? No, it's not. I guess it's something to do. But as far as trying to change humanity, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. What's going to change humanity? I think they're eternally cursed. Eternally cursed. It's never going to change. This planet is perfect the way it is. It either is going to be someplace that you're going to love, or it's someplace that you're never going to want to come back here again, because the people who like things the way they are always going to be here. So as far as a school, what do you learn here? That there's a hell of a lot of souls here that belong here in quarantine from the rest of the universe. They should not be released to other planets where there's benevolent beings, because they're not benevolent. They are insensitive beings, incredibly insensitive. incredibly selfish beings, incredibly unwilling to change beings, uh, beings that even if they have the information, they choose to ignore it because they just simply prefer to be nasty. So, why don't we see extraterrestrials coming to visit us here on planet Earth? The extraterrestrials don't want to deal with humans. Humans are a cancer in the universe, incredibly nasty. And you would think, well, I mean, in Western countries, didn't these people go through like high school and trying, didn't they pick up any? No, no, um, they don't. They don't pick up anything. So my forecast for planet Earth is the whales and dolphins will be wiped out. Um, 300 years from now, people will be still driving around gasoline-powered cars. Um, Tent cities will be everywhere, and I don't know. I can't see any way out of it. That's why the late scientist Stephen Hawking thought that they should have a moon colony because he thought that planet Earth was going to go down the toilet, and clearly it's on its way down the toilet because the people here, if the educated are as nasty as they are, and they're the ones that are supposed to lead. Mm-mm. So, what does that mean for you? It means you have to leave the crowd. You have to leave the crowd and you have to work on yourself. Because maybe you're not going to ascend in this lifetime, but if you do enough work on yourself to look at all your flaws and to look at your patterns and to look at where you're caving in to these group consciousnesses, which are racist and, they're anti-minority or anti whatever I am, or if you're nationalistic, my country, right or wrong kind of people. Um, I mean, in some cases, there's nothing you can do. I mean, the latest thing is about plastic water bottles, you know, and, banning plastic straws and plastic water bottles. Well, it's a drop in the bucket, really, the amount of plastics that's produced. But, you think of food packaging and, anything else that you buy, there's so much excess packaging. But this was talked about in the 1980s. Too much packaging. It was even on television. And 40 years later, what was done about it? Nothing. Nothing gets done. And if they ban these plastic water bottles, who's going to suffer? Me. I recycle them. I always recycle them. And I use them. Because when I'm in the car, I need water. And I go through a lot of water when I'm driving around in the car because you have to stay hydrated if you're on an ascension program because you got to keep hydrated. You got to keep flushing yourself. So the opposite thing is to buy canned water, which is 3 times the price. And if you don't have a lot of money, that's a lot of money. So who suffers in the end for all these environmental policies? It's the poorest people that suffer. You put the price of gas up, carbon tax. If you're a wealthy doctor, you don't care. You don't care. You're still going to have your big yacht and you're going to fill it up with 200 gallons of premium gasoline. You're not going to care about it. But for the poor person who's got a 15-year-old car, they still have to put the gas in and the gas just went up. So it's always the poor that suffer under these kind of taxes, any kind of taxes, carbon taxes, and um, fossil fuel taxes. And then it came out in Forbes magazine today that the US government subsidizes the big oil industry $600 billion a year. Forbes said that's more than the US government spends on military. I don't actually believe it. I think they spend more money through their secret black budgets on the US military. But still, it's a hell of a lot of money to subsidize an industry that doesn't need any money whatsoever and should actually be phased out. But clearly, the big oil have got the US Senate in their back pocket, and that's why this goes on. So, once again, if you don't want to come back to planet Earth and the nightmare that it is, and prison planet that it is, under quarantine from the rest of the universe because humans are dangerous, work on yourselves, raise your consciousness for yourself, and don't waste too much time trying to wake up other people. Because if they're going to wake up, they'll already have an interest in waking up. And anything you say, it doesn't seem to do very much. I'm sorry. But I still make the videos because I gotta have something to do. I'm Harry Weaver.